Okay, so what we're going to get up to here in this video, new files, as opposed to just double clicking on an existing file, starting something new on all of the very important settings that you have to know, settings that are so important that if they're off a little bit, they could create major problems in your Photoshop project or your project for Premiere that you end up dropping it into. We'll go into saving files, which some of you have already gotten into a little bit as well. We'll talk the gradient tool, as well as the text tool and layer styles. So let's get into it. First of all, just creating a new file. Once again, some of you may have just opened up Photoshop and then double-clicked a pre-existing file or whatever. We're going to create something new. Your layout should look something like this. Wherever you're looking at, look for the Create New button. Go there, click on that, and then you're going to get some options. Again, yours should look something like this. It might look slightly different. Don't always rely on recent. You don't know what Photoshop always remembers. So first and foremost, go into film and video. That's what we work in. And then within there, for the most part, we'll be working with here 1280 by 720. At the top, it'll be HDTV 720. Most of the footage that we work with here at Specs is high definition 720, not full high def. So this will be your initial settings here, 720p. If we go over to this general area, you should always, always, always name your project. And the way that we would like you to name things is your last name first, then your BMA, and then whatever project it is. If it's exercise 3 or if it's puppies for sale, whatever. But the really important part is last name first, then your BMA number, and then whatever project it is. So important to get that. And then maybe you'll change your background contents from white into transparent. I always do this. It's just best practice, and we'll talk about why that is next week, actually. But go over here, background contents, go from white and get them to transparent. Once you've got your project named, once again, always, always, always name it. Make sure that it's 720p. Go to Create, and then we're ready to go. Then we are ready to go. Now we've got this whole fresh blank canvas to work with here. And the first thing I want to talk about is the gradient tool. As you can see from this slide, the gradient tool is used to apply a gradual change of colors. And you just click and drag to use it. You've probably all seen these backgrounds on full screen graphics on television, maybe documentaries or just different things, flyers and whatnot that you might see. It's a really nice way to add a little bit of flair to your backdrop without getting too crazy. In the gradient tool bar at the top of Photoshop, you'll see the options. You can change the different colors of it. You can change the opacity of it. You can change the smoothness. There's a lot of different things you can play with, and you'll have that opportunity today in today's exercise. You can also see that there's different types of gradients that we can use. There's the radial gradient, the reflective gradient, the diamond gradient, all of these different gradients that we can work with. But let's get into it. So right now I've got this very plain Jane, boring background. I want something more fun. So I'm going to go to the gradient. I'm going to go over here, but oh no, I can't find it. Where is the gradient? I'm so frustrated. I have no idea. Please remember that sometimes tools hide underneath of each other. And that is the case here with the gradient. It is underneath the paint bucket. So if I hover over it, if I left click, I'll be able to see, oh, here's the gradient tool. And then it pops up here. Now I've got the gradient tool and I've got different gradient colors up here. Also, if you just kind of hover over different spots, you can see the names of these different gradients. So right now I've just got your regular one. So hopefully you can see my cursor here. I'm just going to left click and then drag. You'll see this line happening. And now I've got a little bit of a gradient going on. And that's if I do it in a diagonal way. But if I make my gradient go up, it's going to look a little bit different. Or if I go from this way to this way, also a little bit different. Or if I just go right here, right? So the gradient, the main thing I'll tell you is go nuts. Try some different stuff. But maybe you don't want your generic gradient. Maybe you want this one instead. We can do that. And now we've got kind of a little lens flare. We've got more of a circular radial, as it's called. Or if we go here, we've got this action going on, if you like that. Or one last option for you. You can see that happening there. And once again, if you go in here, you got a lot of different options, a lot of different colors. You've got blues, purples, pinks, reds, oranges, grays, some clouds. I'm not really a big fan of those. I am a big fan of the pastels, so maybe we can grab this and then go in here. Kind of like a little more blue in my world. There we go. So again, these are all gradients. This is just what you do. If you got some options today, give it a try. Try some different things out. Try it and see how they look. But don't forget that your gradient tool is on top of your paint bucket tool, or could be underneath the paint bucket tool. So if you're looking for it, it's over here as advertised. So now that I've got a fun background, the next thing we want to work with is the type tool. It is T in the toolbox, and it allows you to type things. There are two ways to create a text layer. You can just click and then type, or you can drag a boundary box and then type within there. I'm a big fan of the click and type method. One important thing to know about your type tool is every time you type something with it, it will create a new layer. So now once you've typed something, you can look in the character palette and you can change so many different things with the character palette. And once again, you know, there's just the sky's the limit in Photoshop, and you can change so many different things and just customize it to exactly how you want to have it. It's really cool to just kind of play through and try different things. I'll show you some fun stuff with this here in a second as well. So you do have the character palette, but you might also opt to use the tool options bar. You know, 6 of one, half dozen of the other, as they say. So here back in Photoshop, let's text, shall we? Over here, you've got our type tool. You can get that here. Right now, you see I've just got layer 1. It is my gradient layer, my background layer, so that I'm going to name it as such. Go to my type tool. You can see it's a little bit of a square. I've got those two options. I can make this box and type within it. The newer versions of Photoshop will just have words or basically letters in there. I'm not a huge fan of that. But anyways, we'll just start left click in there and just start typing. This is stuff. I might just close my thing off there a little bit. And then if I click away, you'll notice over here in your layers palette that your text layer knows what you just wrote. So this is stuff, so this is stuff. That's great, good times. But I'm not super crazy about this white background, so I want to change that. I actually want to change a lot of things about it. So the first thing I'm going to do is make sure that my layer is selected. This is stuff, left click, and now I'm just going to left click and drag so I highlight all of this. So now once I've highlighted this, I can do a lot of different things. I can change the size. Right now I'm at 60, maybe I'll take it to 12. Now it's super tiny. That's not helpful. So let's take it up to 72 and make it a little bit bigger. Now part of the problem is it is too big for this text box. This is one of the reasons why I don't really like the text box, but I'll show you the other way in a moment. Right now I'm using the font Baskerville, and that's all well and good, but maybe I'd like to try something a little bit different. Maybe I want to see what some other stuff looks like. So the great thing about this is, I'm going to move this over here so we can actually see it. Go back to my text, highlight, and then as I go down through all of my font options, I can see what it actually looks like. I can preview it. So I find this to be a really, really helpful, useful tool. So I'm going to use the Cassian Pro all of a sudden, and that's fine. Now I've got different font, but I'm going to select this. Now I want a different color. I'm going to use my foreground color to make that happen. So instead of white, we're going to make it green. This will be very ugly, but whatever. And there we go. And now I've got this is stuff there as this is stuff layer. Now I'm going to go and make another new layer. Here's something that can go wrong though. Sometimes if I want to highlight this and I double click on accident, sometimes you can end up creating new layers over here. So just be very careful with that. So I'm going to go over here. We're going to click there. We're going to call this one more stuff. Now I've got that one. I can click down a little bit, and now this layer, more stuff. If I want to change some things about this, once again, I can highlight everything. We're going to change this from 72 and make it like, I don't know, 200. It's going to be huge, so big. My more stuff is so big. Once again, I can change the font. Photoshop's going to make me move this a smidge. So we're going to roll this down here. Need to highlight everything. And let's use this. I really like Baskerville, so we're sticking with that one. And now I've got that. One of the last things that you can do is you can warp the text. If you go into your text tool right there, and then you go up here, once you highlight it, here's your warp text. If I select that, style right now is none, but I can make it an arc, so it goes like that. Or I can make it a bulge, so it looks more like that. Also, again, you've always got the option to preview these things. You can see them a little bit. If I move this away, you can see exactly what it's going to do. You might fisheye that thing. You might give it the old wave, so something like that. And then when you do this, you can change different aspects of this. So once again, the moral of this story is Photoshop can do so much stuff. And you can create your own styles, and you really get a chance to play around and do really cool things and customize it any way that you want. And the best way to understand how this stuff works is to just get in there and try it. Just get in there and play. And these exercises this week are a great opportunity for you to get in and try these things.